Loki season 1 has come to a close, and I'm going to give my review of the season as a whole. If you've watched any of my reviews of the Loki episodes and my reaction to the final episode, you're going to know that I really liked this show and I liked every new episode what they were bringing out. This is definitely one of the strongest MCU shows that we have so far. I really loved WandaVision because it was so like new, fresh and unique. It was the first Marvel thing we've had after a really long time, and I guess that was like the biggest hype around that show. And I still really love WandaVision, and Loki's really fighting to knock it off its #1 spot. The beginning of this review will be mostly spoiler free, and I'll have a spoiler section towards the end, and I'll give a spoiler warning before I start sharing some of that stuff. Loki is only 6 episodes, and in my opinion I think it needed maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. 2 of the episodes were kind of like fillery, didn't really progress the story that much, and we were just kind of like sat around talking. They were 2 good episodes, but then you only have 6. You need to move the story along, you need to progress, you need to get to the point in episode 6 where everything happens, but you need to kind of get to that maybe just 1 episode sooner. Loki introduces a lot of new characters into the MCU, and honestly there wasn't a character that I disliked. In the Falcon and the Winter Soldier I really didn't like the character, I can't even remember her name, the main girl of the Flag Smashers. I didn't really like her, but in Loki I loved every single character, and I wanted to see more of every single character, even really small ones like Casey, who only has what, 1 or 2 lines. And honestly I want to pick out 3 new characters that kind of like stole the show for me, and that is Mobius, Sylvie and Ravonna Renslayer. Those 3 characters and those 3 actors, they were amazing, and honestly it's the Loki show. I felt like they stole the show, not in a bad way, as in yes it was still Loki's show, but I was so intrigued in Sylvie's character when she's revealed to be Sylvie and everything that's going on with her. And then Mobius, Owen Wilson, wow, just incredible. I went in so reluctantly, like Owen Wilson in the MCU, that is such a weird choice. He's like an actor that's done all these other things and you don't really expect him to like maybe want to be in a Marvel thing, in an MCU. He was incredible, and I can't imagine any other actor playing Mobius.
Wow.
And then Ravonna Renslayer, she's like the bad guy, one of the bad guys, and you kind of like love to hate her. Like she was amazing in her role. She plays so many different things, like so many different like types, personalities in each episode that she's in. She was so intriguing to me, and by the final episode I wanted to know what was going on with her. I wanted to know her story. I wanted to see more of her story arc. But then another thing that I really loved about this show was like the score and the music. I think her name is Natalie Holt, who was in like in charge of all that and did all that. Like I was so like tense watching some of these scenes, and it's just the clock, anything to do with time, you have that ticking clock going off, and just like the sets and the costumes and the places they took us to, they were so beautiful, like so beautifully constructed. Lamentus and then the Void. I love like what they created in this show. I think this is one of the strongest MCU shows. I really love what Marvel is doing with these shows. It's taking characters that we haven't really, after Endgame we've lost 3 major characters, Tony, Steve and Nat, and then these shows are taking up side characters which you don't really pay much attention to. WandaVision, Sam, Bucky and Loki. And obviously Loki is the one we've seen the most. He's been like integral in every single phase, and so with his show I wasn't really looking forward to like his character. I was looking forward to the story around his character, and they told a really beautiful story, one concerning free will and determinism and everything to do with like a destined timeline, and I thought that that aspect was really interesting. And at the end of the final episode we don't get an end credit scene, but it is revealed that there's going to be a season 2 of Loki, the first MCU Marvel show to confirm there's a 2nd season. The other 2 lead on into films, and obviously with the ending of Loki it feeds into a lot of stuff that's going on in the later stages of the MCU. I'm really intrigued how they're gonna do a season 2 of Loki, because obviously how it ends and like how the show is in general, it leads on to all these other films that are gonna happen in the MCU. Like I just want to know what storyline they're gonna go on from there. Now I'm gonna get into more specific spoilery stuff, things that did or didn't work, or just that I'm kind of like mixed on, like I liked it but then it's also a bit I'm not too sure. One of the main things is that I really liked the friendship between Loki and Mobius. Like they were a power couple, they were a powerhouse to be reckoned with.
This variant is better than you, and you can't take it.
I really wanted to see more of that, so I'm excited there's going to be a season 2. And then you've also got the relationship between Loki and Sylvie. I really did like Sylvie's character in this. She was definitely, for me, stronger than Loki, and I don't mean that in any bad way. I liked both of them in this show. A female version of Loki, I mean, did you expect to see that? Because I didn't. And the show also introduces a bunch of different variants which we may or may not see in season 2, and maybe we might even see one of them, Kid Loki, in a future Marvel project, and I'm excited to see that as well. And speaking of the Loki Loki variants, some of them were really underwhelming to me. President Loki, in the trailers he seemed more hyped, and in like promotion for this show he seemed like he was going to play a bigger role than he did. I originally thought that he was just going to be Loki himself, like he's gone to a timeline where he's going to be President Loki, but it was a different variant, and like he was really underwhelming. You see him probably in about 2 minutes, if that, in a scene. But then in the final episode, the villain is revealed to be Kang, and that's leading on to Ant-Man 3. He's like the big bad now. Thanos is gone, and now it's Kang the Conqueror. The version we see in the Loki series isn't the baddest version, and like he was kind of weird and creepy, and so I'm excited and intrigued to see the badder version of Kang. Jonathan Majors plays Kang, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to like this role and this character. I'm guessing we're going to see him first in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 Quantumania, because he is the main villain of that film. But like what we've seen of him so far, and obviously we know that there are worse versions than with the one that we've already seen. And so what is Ant-Man and the Wasp gonna do to Kang? No offense to Scott Lang and Hope, you're not exactly the best to deal with Kang.
Terrible.
You want to show me how to punch? Show me.
That's how you punch.
In the final episode, Sylvie kills Kang because she like didn't believe what he was saying, that if you kill me you release the timeline, the one sacred timeline, and it goes into a multiverse of madness. She did a Star-Lord. In Infinity War they could have ended Thanos, the reign of Thanos then, but Star-Lord just punched him in the face and woke him up. And then in Loki, Sylvie pulls a Star-Lord, and instead of her and Loki taking over like the timekeepers, like the keeper of time, the sacred timeline, she kills Kang. You do agree with her that yes, she's been put through all this hell. Why does she like want to keep this like thing alive, the timeline, about free will and all that? And so she kills Kang. Turns out Kang wasn't lying, and she kick-started the rest of phase 4, phase 5 and continuous phases. She started the big bad that is Kang. And like, that's like, yeah, we finally have one of the shows finally like kickstart the multiverse. But then it was like Sylvie, a new character introduced in the Loki series, introduced in the third one. You see her in the second episode, but introduced in the third episode as Sylvie. Like, is there going to be an explanation in the films like about this multiverse and who started it? And it was just Sylvie. Like, I love her, but then I was expecting it to be Loki. Why wasn't it Loki that kickstarted this? This was a really good first season, and I'm excited for season 2. The show as a whole was really good, but I think we can all agree that the biggest letdown of this show, of season 1, was that Mobius did not get a jet ski. Every episode that Mobius is in, they kind of set up him having a jet ski. So in season 2, if like the writers, the directors, the producers, the people listen to the fans, we want Mobius on a jet ski. If that's not written in for season 2, write it in now. And I think that's only like my major complaint, was that 2 of the episodes were kind of like slower than the other ones, and then Mobius didn't get his jet ski. Other than that, all the casts were amazing, all the sets were amazing, the costumes, the sound, everyone's story arc, the story told as a whole. But can we all just agree that Miss Minutes in episode 6 was hella scary? Gosh, did I jump when she just popped out of nowhere.
I will punch you!
That's my review of season 1 of Loki. I'm excited for season 2, and if you like this video, please leave it a like and subscribe for more. My next video will be me doing a ranking of every episode, all 6 episodes of Loki season 1, so stick around for that. Thanks for watching. Bye!